Every single person, I would argue, has to deal with grief sooner or later in their life. What is the best way to deal with grief?
Oh, you go right to
Right
the
into it,
jugular
yeah.
for the tough one. Uh, I guess somewhere along the line uh, you have to grab a hold of yourself and say, "Bring it on." You know, it is what it is, and as soon as you face that, which takes some people a month, a week, some people a year, some people 10 years. I've had people tell me they've been going through this for 10 years and still haven't handled it. Um, it's that point in your life when you say, okay, do I sit here and feel sorry for myself and pity, or do I step forward and go on with my life and take my loved one with me? I think that's the big fear people have is they don't want to move forward because they're afraid they'll leave that loved one behind. And once that happened to me, then I was able to move forward and go on with my life and build a new life in a way. Because when you spend almost 60 years with someone, dating and marriage, and all of a sudden they're gone, that's a big change in your life. So
Yeah.
it's kind of difficult to go through. But to your question, there is no easy way. Uh, it's not easy. Um, I don't call it a journey of grief. I call it a journey of love because without love, there is no grief. You don't grieve for someone you don't love. So mine's a journey. Mine's a journey of love. Uh, I've got uh, all that 58 years of all the things we did together to remember and go back on and enjoy again. That's the other thing you have to learn to, look back and say, okay, I was a lucky guy. We did this, we did this. I had this beautiful woman, you know. So, but again, back again to your base question, it's not easy and it's different. I will say this. It's different for everyone, only it's the same. How's that? Uh, speaking with my book, I've done 180 speeches with my book, and I've met, I don't know, 2, 3, 4,000 people, whatever. And everyone basically tells the same story. Uh, they go through the same things. Unfortunately, some professionals and some people think that going through grief is like going through Alcoholic Anonymous. You take the 10 steps and you're there. Well, that's not true with grief. Yes, there are
Yeah.
steps and there are things that happen, but they happen to people at different times. And sometimes I've had some people say they never experienced anger. I experienced anger. It was one day, 2 hours, it was over with. Some people tell me they've been angry for 10 years. So all those things affect people differently.
So it's really a personal thing. What was the hardest grieving situation that you needed to go through?
Well, I guess I should tell you my story. My wife had breast cancer in 2003, 2004. I had mastectomies both times. But then she was cancer free. Our life went on. We did things. We did our vacations. We did our things with our family and our friends and everything. And life was good. Um, in 2017, the cancer came back in the chest wall. And they told her she had 6 to 8 months. She lived 2 years. She died on August 5th, 2019, just, a little over 6 years ago. So I've been on this journey for 6 years. Um, so the toughest part for me, quite honestly, was um, in the hospital with her when she was at hospice, when she was dying for 3 weeks, to sit there, hold her hand, feel her pain, and not be able to. You can't read a book or you can't watch television. You can't do anything. You just sit there. And I did that for 3 weeks. I stayed there 24/7. I slept in that lounge chair they leave you in the hospital room, which you can't sleep in, by the way. Um, and before that, you pray to God that she'll be cured. And then when you get to this point, you pray to God to take her. please, I feel her pain. So that was the toughest part. While she was still alive and dying, okay? Dying while I was holding her hand and feeling that was the toughest part. Uh, After she was gone, there was a certain amount of relief to say, okay, she's 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 in a better place. She has no more pain. So that made me feel a little better. But then I went through my grief time. So, yeah, but that 3 weeks was the toughest time.
So the grieving was not as bad as those 3 weeks prior
But, yeah, I think that's when you start. I started grieving then, though. You know,
already. Yeah.
my grief started when well when they said she had 6 to 8 months. It didn't really sink in. But when we went to the hospital for whatever radiations, and she had a chest tube she had to drain. We had to drain every 2 days, and I was having trouble with it. And so I said something to the doctor. He said, "Well, let's get that taken care of." And long story short, they admitted her, and she never came home. She was there for a week. They were saying, "Well, we're going to do this, and we'll try Plan A, Plan B." And finally, on that Saturday, she said to me, "I'm done. I don't want any more chemo. I don't want any more pills. I don't want any more shots. I just want peace. I want to go into hospice." And she went into hospice in the hospital. She stayed right there, just moved into the hospice area. So that's when it hit me. When she said, "I want to go to hospice," then I know this is the end. But she's accepted it. She's accepted it. I haven't yet. So, yeah, that was when it began.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you, thank you.
What did happen afterwards in those
Oh,
months? How do you go through knowing a
okay.
person for this many years and then
The okay, so I said it earlier. I'll say it this way. Okay, so she dies on a Monday. I was there holding her hand when she passed. I actually closed her eyes. I remember the nurse come in and saying, "Well, Mr. Rose, you can stay." I said, "No, she's gone. She's not here." Oh, so I remember going home. It was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It was summertime. I have a deck here that looks out over the golf course and over a cemetery, actually. I remember going home and my family was there. And we sat and we talked a little while and everybody left. And I went in and went to bed. I think I really slept that night because I had slept for 3 weeks. So then it's going to the funeral home on Tuesday, making all the arrangements and getting things set up. Um, Thursday was a visitation. I know we had 160 some people come through. Um, and then Friday was the funeral. Uh, and that's all a blur to me. I remember things from the visitation. I don't remember hardly anything with the funeral. I'm Catholic, and it was a Catholic mass, and she was going to be cremated, so there wasn't any trip to the uh, cemetery after the funeral. Um, I had the typical church funeral dinner. Um, and going back to my home again, we were all on the deck, friends of mine and my family, and I'm sure there were a few bottles of wine drank. And all of a sudden, it's like 9 o'clock, and everybody's gone. Remember looking at the door, thinking, I don't want to go in there. She's not there. It's still daylight here until at that time of year until 9:30, 10 o'clock. I remember sitting there, finally going in, going to bed. I think again I slept really well because I was exhausted. But then that weekend, that Friday, that Saturday, Sunday, I went to mass. I went to church, but I wasn't there. I don't, I was just in a haze. I went there to say so everybody could look over at me and feel sorry for me. I think, there's Tom Rose. He lost his wife. But that's when my black period began. And I tell people my black period began on that day and ran until about the 1st of November. I didn't care about anything. Um, I didn't really want to do anything. I went out and played golf with some of my friends because they goaded me into, come on, play golf. Well, I played, but I didn't enjoy it. Uh, I was a self-pity party, so to speak, until one night, it's kind of like today here. Right now, there's a little sleet hitting the window. It was a night like this, and our concept of our place here is all open. The kitchen, living room, dining area, it's all one big room with a bar, countertop with bar stools. And I was sitting there at the bar counter having my dinner, a bottle of wine, glass of wine, had Frank Sinatra playing on the stereo and the fireplace going. And like I say, the sleet and stuff's hitting the windows. And I'm sitting there having my own little pity party. And I think I got up to walk over to change the record or something. I caught my foot on one of the bar stools and I fell. Fortunately, I fell onto the carpet in the living room area. And I remember laying there and thinking, I never cried in that whole time, maybe a few little tears. But all of a sudden, Mo, they came out. I had tears. I was wringing wet. I remember getting up and sitting in the chair and going, oh, what would she think of me? And her favorite saying was, it is what it is, put on your big boy pants and deal with it. And I thought of that, and I thought, she's right. So I finally managed to go to bed, got up the next morning, and I'm thinking when I went to bed that I think, oh man, the next day is going to be terrible. I got up the next morning, and for some reason there was sunlight, and there was color, and all of a sudden I knew that I had to take grief on. I didn't know how yet, but I said, okay, grief, come on. I got to take you on. And I said, I'd throw God out of my life. And I said, hey, God, would you come back? Because I think I need you behind me because I'm going to take grief on. And
Hmm.
someone had told me that grief is like a ball in a box. When that ball bounces around and touches the sides, memories come back or emotions. What you don't want is you don't want to hit a corner and have 3 or 4 emotions going on at the same time. And I thought about that and I thought, no, it's more like a balloon in a box. Because if you've got a balloon on a string and you want that balloon to go left and you move left, the balloon may go right. So that was the concept from my book, Balloon in a Box, Coping with Grief. So I used that balloon because in that balloon is all my memories. It's with me now. It's right up here. She's with me because everything that we did together, our life is in that balloon. So now I'm able to move forward because I'm taking her with me. I'm taking that balloon. I'm taking all those memories. I'm taking everything with me. So that I call that night my epiphany. uh, that that's when it changed for me, and my whole life changed. Um, it just it just was it's just amazing to me how that one little thing changed me, and I don't know why. But it did. Somebody, maybe God tripped me. I don't know. Maybe she tripped me. I don't know. Uh, but that hour that I cried and the next morning changed everything.
Wow. What a story. So the only loss that I so far had in my life was my grandparent, my grandma, and my grandpa on the other side. So I have been very fortunate for the last 20 years to have a lot of people still in my life. But for other people, sometimes two grief situations are coming onto each other. So two persons are dying very, very close together. How can you cope with a new grief when the old one is not even finished yet?
Well, number one, grief never ends. So that journey I'm on is never going to end. Um, and so and it's happened to me. In fact, I just went to a funeral yesterday of a good friend. So I'm grieving for them. Um, what I tell people is, this is what I've learned, that the griever needs 3 things. They need to find the words, say the words, and know those words have been heard. people try to come and fix it, okay? They want to help you. They can't help you. Just listen to me. That's all I wanted. My heart's breaking. Don't tell me about this and that. Just listen to me. So if you get into that, if somebody lets you do that, then when you're that second person and that third person that you're talking about grieving, then you're able to be able to talk about it. You're able to say, you know, Murph was my friend, okay, and I'm going to miss him, but we had a lot of good times together. I don't know. Maybe I should add another balloon here. Maybe I should be carrying two balloons now. I don't know. But it's good. Well, I'm going to be 85 years old next week. So I'm at that point.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm at that point in my life where you're losing friends on a weekly basis, okay? If you look back at a class of 125 or 30 people we had, every week you look at the paper and you lost another classmate or another member of the church or another member of the country club or whatever at your age. So I guess you get a little calloused about it. It still affects you. You still grieve over it, but eh, it's like, you're prepared. I lost my parents. I was prepared. I mean, that's going to happen. You're born and you die. And so your parents are logically going to go first. So it was tough. My dad particularly was tough. He and I were pretty close. Um, I lost a sister. Same thing. So, and I still grieve for them. Okay. And it's been, I don't know, I guess it's been 20 years since my dad, or 15 years since my dad passed away. And my mom lived to be 98 years old. So I had her for a long time. Um, but the, I still grieve for my wife most. It's the one that affects you the most. It's the one you miss every morning when I get up and go out and have breakfast or cup of coffee or whatever. She's not there. When I come home and open up the door from the garage into the kitchen, she's not there. That still happens to me. I still go, oh, she's not where, oh, well, she's not here. I need to tell her something. Well, she's not here to tell. So I tell you, one of the worst things, everybody tells me, sometimes pictures bother people after they don't. I love seeing pictures of my wife. I still can hear her voice. We did a cooking thing on television for 13 years before she got cancer. And so I still have videotapes and I can look at a videotape and see her and when we're doing a cooking thing. But the thing that I couldn't take was the smell. I had to clear the closet. I had to get her clothes out of the closet because I'd walk in there in the morning and I'd smell her and I couldn't handle it. Now, and that's strange because I could walk out and look at her picture, I could listen to her voice, but I, in fact, her voice is still on her landline. If you call our landline, she's the one that answers and says, So I always wonder if she's really there. So, but the smell was just, I really had to. I don't know why, but it really got me. So,
Okay. So when many different people die, is every grieving situation in their own little bubble, or is it all just adding onto this big balloon that we are talking about right now?
I I think it's everybody's little bubble,
Okay.
and I don't know. Somebody else might have a different opinion, but 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 all those grieving experiences that I've got, like I say, with my father, my mother, my sister, whatever, my friend, they're all little different things, okay? But like I say, the biggest impact, of course, is my wife. So, so the other grieving things, um, like I say, my dad, every once in a while, I'll be messing around with some tools. My dad was real good with tools and stuff. And I say, boy, Dad, I wish you were here, before I cut my finger off, you're, doing this the wrong way. And my mother, the same way when I eat. Sometimes I go, oh, man, I remember Mom's gravy, How do you make gravy the way Mom made gravy? So, yeah, they're all each little thing that you play out there. And again, like I say, when you get to my age, you've got a lot of those things, okay? Um, somebody said something. I guess I was watching TV about when you're dying, all your life going past you, and I'm thinking, oh my God, that takes forever for me. So, but yeah, the shared experiences you have with those people are the things that help you with the grief. That they bring back the memory, but they also help you when you say, "Oh yeah, we had a good time that time. Oh, that was a great day when we did this." So that's the thing you have to. I guess you have to learn to do that. You have to. Well, one of the things that I give you an example of regrets. Everybody has regrets when these things happen. Oh, I wish I'd have done this. I wish I'd have done that. We have this family room here in the TV and looks out the deck and out towards the golf course. And like I say, the the cemetery's on one side and the golf course on the other. And in the fall here, the cemetery is beautiful with all the trees and the leaves and the color. And I remember she walked out I was watching, it was a Sunday afternoon. I was watching a football game. And she walked out. She said, let's go for a walk. We used to walk in the cemetery. And I said, no, go ahead. I want to watch the Bears play football. Their Bears are probably losing anyhow, but I didn't go. The next year, I'm sitting in that room watching a TV, watching a football game, and she's not there. And of course, I'm thinking, man, I wish I'd have gone on that walk with her. But I can't change it. It is, again, what she used to say, it is what it is. So I have to push those regrets aside and remember the good things. Remember the walks we did take and those kind of things. And then I have a son, and a granddaughter. So they are an extension of her in a way. In fact, my son and my wife are a lot alike. And my granddaughter spent a lot of time with her grandmother. Um, so they carry that. When I'm around them, I feel like she's there. So,
Do you believe in a life after death? Because it just said that you're not that close with God or have been not that close with God and brought him
well,
back in.
yes, I was born and raised Catholic.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe in the afterlife. I I threw God out when she died because I didn't think he did what I asked him. I asked him back. Um, he's been with me. I leaned on him. I've leaned on my faith. I probably wasn't as good a Catholic as for the first 80 years of my life as I've been the last 5 or 6. Again, you start getting close to that time that you think that your end's coming, and you go, gee, what do I believe? Um,
Mm.
and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But no, I believe in afterlife. Um, I believe there's a, a, a better time coming.
Does it make it all easier, the whole grieving situation? Is that maybe a part that everybody should look out for to have anything to hold on to, even if it
Yeah,
may be an illusion?
no, it makes my grieving for my wife a little easier again because I know she's someplace better, okay, and she's not hurting anymore. And so when I know that, makes me feel good. If it was the other way around, if she was just gone, then it might be a little more difficult. But this I know she's out. She's happy now. Again, she's not hurting. I mean, she hurt for 2 years. The pain, the ugly drainage in the drainage tube, the chemo, the radiation, the pills, all that stuff. We're just, we. Uh, I say we give ourselves medicine to kill ourselves. Basically that's what you do. Um, so yeah, I believe so. By believing, it makes it easier for me. I guess that's the easiest way to say it. I believe so.
What would you tell a person that have just lost somebody in their life and is going through grief. What would you tell a person to make it a bit better?
Well, to what I said earlier, to find the words, say the words, and know those words been heard. Let it out. Talk to people. Don't isolate yourself. Uh, you need your friends. You need your family. In particular, your friends need to hear your story. Your friends will all want to come and try to fix it, and they want to help you, and they want to do all this stuff. If you just say stop, please, just stop. Don't be afraid to tell them stop. Listen to me.
Mhm.
One of the big things that, and this is a thing that happens too. Your friends kind of change, especially when you're talking about couples. Okay, because we were all couples. Okay, then we're 6, 7, 8. Well, you have this group of friends that's maybe 6, and then you have one that you call 12 or 14, and then you have one that's 24 or 30. Depending on where you do. But those close ones, you go out to dinner and you do all those things. And after my wife passed away, of course, they saying, "Come on, go with us," and I would go, and I would hear them, like a couple of the girls, whisper back and forth. And I finally realized what they were doing was they were afraid to say my wife's name. And I finally stood up one night. In fact, I slammed my hand down on the table and said, "Listen, her name was Joyce, and she died. And I would love to hear you people talk about her. I would love to hear your story about her. Don't hide it from me. Don't be afraid to say her name because I'm going to feel bad, you know." And and the other thing is then everybody right after it happens for the months, mm, you get all this attention, 3 months, 4 months. Pretty soon it's a year, it's at 2 years, and all that goes away, okay? Because they move on with their lives. They're not they're not in that same grief journey or love journey, as I say, that I'm on. They're not on that anymore, okay? They were on it with you for a while, but they're not on it for a while. And I still have some of the same friends, but also you begin to make new friends. You begin to discover other people that you didn't know before. And the other thing is when I was talking about that 3 weeks when I was holding your hand and you can't do anything but you can't read a book, watch TV, you just sit there and think. Well, try sitting in a room with nothing for 2 hours, 3 hours and just think. Well, I did that 16 hours, 17, 18 hours a day for 3 weeks. And when you do that, you will discover things about yourself that maybe you don't like. You will question all your beliefs. You won't maybe change them, but you question them, you go through them. That's the other thing that you do. You begin to look at all your friends. And is this person really my friend? Or is he my friend? Or are they my friend? Or are they my wife and I's friend because we know this other couple and this other couple's got a lot of money and they want to get close to them. So they know we know them and you think about all those things. And so some of those things change a little bit. Uh, the other thing is that I see things now that I never saw before. By that, I mean empathy. When I do my speaking engagements, I love a group of about 30 to 40 people. I don't like the stage where there's 100 and some and you can't see them. I like it in a room where I can look out and I can see their eyes. And I can look in their eyes. And I can almost say, "Oh, that lady lost her husband not too long ago." You can tell by the way she's. Uh, and now I walk by people in, in the grocery store, whatever, and I kind of see them a little different.
Mhm.
But I'll give you an example. I got a neighbor lady down the street, and everybody, she's a pain to everybody. Okay, I was we live in a condo villa association, and she was always a pain. She's always complaining, and I always had problems with her before. And now, in the last 2 or 3 years, I've gotten to know the lady, and I understand her. She's still a pain, okay? But I understand why. I mean, she had a husband that beat her. She has a son that treats her like dirt. And so she's got this chip on her shoulder. And I understand, you know. So when somebody comes along who of authority and says, "You can't do that," she said, "Yes, I can," you know. Or when she wants something done, then she demands it being done. So I understand her now. And I
Um,
didn't before. I mean, I was complaining about her before. No, I don't. In fact, now I tell her, just relax, you know, just take it easy, you know. So those are the things that happen to you.
Thank you so, so much for sharing your story and your time. Where can people go to get to know you a bit better or to keep up with your life?
Well, my website they can go to is thomaslrose.com. My book is on Amazon. In fact, I've written 3 books. My book on grief, and then I got cocky and wrote a novel, a murder mystery, and I just wrote a book, just came out. It's called Damn It, which is a book of short stories. So I've gotten into I never wrote anything before in my life, but you know, I'm having fun. Like I say, and I'm doing a podcast. But www.thomaslrose.com, you'll find everything.
Thank you so, so much.